Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today we are building something Olympic inspired. As of me releasing this on Friday, it is the start of the 2024 Olympics, and I'm super pumped. As a former track athlete, I used to love watching the Olympics and thought it would be super fun to build something that is inspired by the games. So I decided to go back in time to the original Olympics and build the prize that the winner of an event would be given, which was an olive branch crown. Now, I don't have an olive tree nearby or branches I have access to, so I'm going to build mine out of wire and gold tape. Should be pretty easy and pretty awesome. So today we're building a gold olive branch crown. Let's get to building. This will be a pretty short and simple video. After a search on what the original Olympian competitors won, I found that it was a simple olive branch connected to make a crown. I'm going to go just a little fancier and make it gold. I bought some gold heat shield tape off of Amazon, and I will use some thin wire to make the leaves. I will link the tape I used down in the description below if you would like to purchase it. You could also use vinyl duct tape or some other form, but I wanted something super shiny. I cut a piece of thin wire about 4 inches long and a piece of tape about 3 inches long, and then sandwiched the wire between the tape folded on itself. I ended up making about 80 of these because I didn't know exactly how many I needed. In total, I think I ended up using 68 to fill both branches. I would imagine the number will vary depending on the size of your head and the size and spacing of your leaves. For the main support, I used some fencing wire. It's covered with this protective plastic coating that I cut off with a box cutter. Then I cut it a little longer than I actually needed to wrap around my head in half, and then fine-tune it later. This wire is fairly rigid, but is still bendable by hand. I use a lot of it in builds for structural support, usually sandwiched between 2 layers of foam. Now I need to get my leaves wrapped around the support wire. It's a fairly simple job once you get the hang of it. I cut the tape into narrow strips and then begin wrapping that around the thicker wire. After 2 or 3 wraps, I add a leaf. I try to keep the leaf's orientation to the outside of the main support wire. This way it doesn't jab into my head. And you'll notice later, those little wires do jab into your fingertips and cause you to bleed. So I would suggest being careful as you wrap these wires. Since the leaves also have a wire in them, this means that the assembly can be adjusted with spacing and positioning later once they're all attached. Once I got the hang of it, this went really fast. I think it took a total of maybe 15 to 20 minutes to wrap the whole thing on both of them. I made all of my leaves the same size, but you could definitely make smaller ones to go towards the tip. If you wanted to make it more dense and add extra ones, you totally could do this to make it exactly how you prefer. Each of my branches has 34 leaves, and the spacing with the size I cut really gets good coverage. This tape is so reflective, it seems almost like it glows in person. The photos and video don't really do it justice. To assemble the two halves, I just position them about where I want them and use that same thin wire to lock them into place by wrapping it around it multiple times and in different positions. You could totally just make the main support wire all one piece, but I wanted to have those little twigs forking off of the back. To secure it even further and hide the silver wire, because I didn't have any gold wire handy, I used some more of that tape that I cut into strips earlier and wrap it around the connection as well. This made it a lot more solid of a connection and prevented the branches from slipping around on each other. And with that, this build is done. I hope you enjoyed the video and enjoy watching the Olympic Games. And we are finished. Here is the end result. This thing is so shiny and pretty. I'm super pumped at the way it turned out. It was relatively easy to do. The most tedious part was making the olive leaves. The actual assembly took me maybe 15 minutes to do once I got the little rotation of the tape around the wire. But yeah, maybe you'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to wear a Greek crown for funsies. Maybe you'll get some. Yay! And inevitably they're gonna ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these, tell them much props. Time to go watch some Olympics. Peace out. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and want to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.